We were tasked with teaching something in a short period of time that we thought or felt was important to get across to folks, especially in the terms of like keeping it real, being prepared for a real life assault scenario. And I think if you boil it down, most of us would agree it's going to come into like awareness, like state of mind, not being distracted at the time of the potential attack, so that you're honest with yourself and you're ready to make the right decision. So I want to do some really simple things, and we'll leave it a little open-ended so you can have fun with it. But there's going to be two attacks. There's going to be an initial attack, and it could be one of a pair, and then a secondary attack that again could be one of a pair, and we'll build up to it. Everybody face this way, sort of in a warning position. Maybe left side forward for now. Everybody fall back to the right, and let's let both our hands go to the left in an ichimonji. 1, 2, 3. And drop back. So we got a little, like I'm waving with both my hands, like Miss Hayes was dancing yesterday. Right, we're gonna do that, but we're gonna fall back. 1, 2, 3. Now let's do it. Let's add whoa. Ready, set, go. Whoa. Whoa. Let's try it again. Ready, set, go. Whoa. Make sure it's high enough that this right hand in particular is coming in front of your face, just in case. 1, 2, 3. Ready, go. Whoa. All right. So our two attacks that we could be facing could be a left jab shooting out of my nose, and I'm going to move it back this way, or it could be, can I push it a little bit hard? It could be one of like these things, right? Somebody's starting an altercation. Anybody seen something like that? Yes. So if that happens, watch the mic. Right. I got glasses. Yeah. Gonna bump off the side. So it could be a jab, right? Could be a push. And I'm not going to do anything different regardless, but I want you to be ready for it, and we're just going to use this little fade, tie sabaki, and reposition ourselves off on the side to give ourselves some time. Anybody have any questions like that or about that? All right, let's do it on 3. 1, 2, 3. So what is the quality of mind that we strive to maintain with regards to like post technique? Zanshin, right? What does that mean? Awareness, right? The ready mind, right? What is awareness? If you were gonna like describe it to someone who didn't know that word in English. Connection to what surrounds you. That's a great way to say it. Like being tuned in to like how you feel, I think is crucial, right? We all have a intuition. And a lot of times post-assault, when people are interviewed, they're like, I should have seen it coming, right? And people sort of ignored all these flags. They didn't stay tuned in. I like to describe awareness or to define it as the absence of distraction, right? And the distraction can be external. It could be somebody like drawing my attention, but a lot of times it can be chatter internally as well. But when you have somebody punching at you in the dojo, it's one of the like most clearest places I ever get in my head. We were talking about sort of being in a flow state. When there's like a touch of danger to it, you tend to like pay attention really well. You tend to be more aware. So we have a really great opportunity in the dojo just to train ourselves. And we talk about it, but like really train yourself. Do what An-Shu was saying earlier. Every time you attack, every time you bow, full intention. You can keep it slow, or you can keep it safe, but put real intention behind your movement. So we've got these two things to pick through as the attack. Could be that push, could be that jab, and then we're gonna follow it up. Once we're in this spot, if Mr. Evans is throwing that one of those attacks and we're moving over here, a few things could happen. He could wheel this around with sort of a looping motion, boom, and come around at a hook like that. It could shoot straight down, like laser straight right down the pipe. Everybody agree? Yes, right. He maybe could do like a spinning back fist, but we'll keep that out for today. So we'll just keep it to these two. Initially, let's just respond to it with our left hand. So the push or the jab comes in and we bump. It's one of those, maybe I get down underneath. Or maybe it's the opposite. I'm going to still use my left. I want to roll to the outside. A little variation on our yokoto entry. Instead of bringing my hand over, I'm going to keep my hands where they're at. If that punch is straight, I can use my elbow to position myself out to the outside. Any questions on those initial movements? So I'm gonna like high elbow roll to the outside, pivot myself around, what we'd call like a windy sort of movement, or maybe a real earthy, get down underneath in there. Right. Super simple stuff, nothing that is above the level of anybody in here, but keep it safe and real gradually increase the intention behind the attack. Not necessarily the speed, but change your face, like change your posture, make it feel like a slow motion movie fight scene. 1, 2, 3. What is the most difficult or the trickiest part of this?
Discerning the hook versus the straight punch if it's all going real fast, right?
Anybody have a similar difficult, right? The neat thing about this elbow roll is it doesn't matter. If that hook punch comes in and I start that elbow roll, cool, right? We sort of did that with the headlock earlier this week, right? Or earlier during festival. So if you hide behind this, it's sort of like the pistol grab, right? Going under ate nage, right? We're using this position to move ourselves where I can sneak under if I wanted to. The other thing that'll really give you the most amount of time is your positioning post the initial attack. If I'm too tight, right, I know it's gonna be the hook here. If I hit this sort of like middle spot, this is probably the hardest place to see it coming. But if I give myself like a little bit of time, now I've got a chance to see what's gonna happen. That make sense? All right, we're gonna hit him. Just drive him up, maybe give him a knee and scoop this arm under. Let's play with two things. You got ganseki nage, but here's a fun little thing you can do. This leg picks up really easy. So I'm gonna pick it up, step in the middle. Pick it up, step in the middle, pull his foot, right? So that's a really cool backup plan to anytime you set yourself into a ganseki, like, oh, I messed it up. No, just do this, right? Or, let's do jab straight shot. Right? Hitting me same knee and I move over here, but my leg's on the outside. Right, so here is one place, here's one place. Everybody agree? Right? So I'm gonna wiggle my knee like this and bump his knee. And I'm gonna replace it with my hand. Right? So it's another cool little backup plan if you find yourself there. So 1, 2, hit. I'm in the front. This is the neat one. 1, 2. I'm in the back. It's a really neat one. You break his foot. Have we got it? Sure. We don't have enough time to go into a lot more detail. 1, 2, 3. I didn't go into a lot of detail, but man, you guys were killing it. That looked great. Is there any questions on either of those two takedowns?
Yes.
Nice. Yo, yes, sir.
Can you talk about what direction you like unbalancing the opponent to get the back or behind him style?
So let's do a jab and a lunge. Now wind up behind. So I'm going to collapse his base, and he's starting to fall this way, right? And so his balance line runs this way. So if I can put my hand behind his knee and then just move along his balance line. Right? At the end of this one, a lot of times we wind up with this knee on it. Right? So this position is, if he was to kick up at my head, I'm relatively unprotected here. Right? And if we went, the fight may not be over just because he fell. Right? And I may not want to go on the ground with it, but I might. There's a few, yes, sir.
I was wondering, you dropped him with that technique you just did. Could you have inverted the knee before and actually dropped him on his head?
I believe that you could. I believe that you could. Yeah.
Won't see it today.
What's that, sir?
I wasn't sure if you were just being polite or not.
Yeah, I think you got to have a use of force continuum. Right? I've done some jobs where I've had to be physical and I've never been justified, and I don't ever want to be justified in like dropping somebody inverted on their head. But I have had to move people. Right? So I want to have a range. Right? So one of these ranges, right, from here, I don't want to get kicked, so I can do a little switch, right? That little switch, if I just switch knees, right, just sort of like a switching from ichimonji side to side, and this hurts, right?
Yep.
There's a floating rib here. What do you call that sort of like floating rib crush pressure? What do you call that? Doji man, right? And you got to be real precise with it, right? Here's not so bad. Right there,
Yep.
Right. And you gotta be sensitive with your shin. You gotta know like gotta fit in between the ribs, right? But I could do this little switch and get over here, and we could hit him, or I can move in on the ground with him if I wanted. Another option is to do what we call a long step. I'm gonna take this back leg and I'm gonna swing it around. And you drop down. It's a real quick way to move on top. And again, if my job's not, I'm not justified in hurting him, but maybe I got to calm him down or deal with it. We're here. And if you do want to hurt him, you can shift back out from there. Right, but I want to cover myself with my kamae, right? I'm using Ichimonji or Hicho, but I'm just using my knees to cover to get in these positions. So this long step right here, don't stay facing this leg because he'll kick you in the face, right? Get away from that spin. Right. And this is easier, right? He can try to kick me, but it won't hurt. Right. Push and a hook.
Push him.
And we hit him here. We get this thing. I'm also not in like the best position. Right? He could kick me in the groin, he could wrap up my legs, he could do a number of things, and I don't want to hang out here. What I'd like to do is straddle a foot, put my weight on the sternum, right? And you could do that a little aggressively, right? There could be a little something on that, right? But then this foot kicks way up, and this leg, this hand shoves, right? And then you wind up in a good position where I'm behind him, right? If he punches and we get here, this is like our happy spot, right? So I want to be in the same place on the ground. I don't want to face him. So pushing a hook, hit, knee, we get one of these, and get past. So you don't deal with the leg. Everybody got that? 1, 2, 3. So at the end of some takedown, as he's falling, if you can step to begin with, that's a good idea. And you don't have to do that X pass, right? You could cut your shin across and move. You could step back, break his legs this way, right? Something. Break something that way. But if the foot's on you, stepping back so that it's off your hip. So as long as he's got pressure on you, it's hard to move. So I've got to like break the pressure. I've got to break the friction, and then I can push it and sit on it. Right? If he grabs your leg, he grabs your foot, and I can't do any of those X passes, but I can hit it. This is okay, right? So if somebody's like, no, I want to play jujitsu, cool, we're not doing jujitsu. But if you are doing jujitsu, and somebody grabs that way, just shift across. And so there's paths either way. Any other questions?
Hey, thank you so much.
Thank you.